I'm Dr. Kathleen Walls.
And I'm Dr. Yolanda Spies from South Africa.
And where are we now?
We are in Ghana
At Webster University.
at Webster University.
Yes. And you've been watching
Dr. Walls and Friends on UCCN.
My purpose is, and my passion's name. Can I get through this? Can I find my way? Though the road is long and the mountain high, I will journey on, live my greatest life, yeah. Dr. Walls and Friends. Dr. Walls and Friends. Dr. Walls and Friends. Dr. Walls and Friends.
Hey everybody, it's your host Dr. Kathleen Walls of Dr. Walls and Friends, and I'm here today with Brother Umoja. How you doing?
Hotep, I am doing well.
All right. So
King Weekend 2020.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about. And look at that. It's Martin Luther King Day on January 20th, 2020. That's 3 20s.
Excuse me, I gotta go play the lottery.
Powerful number day.
Yeah, 222.
That's right. So for a powerful man. So let's just take a moment and let's talk about this day of service. I recently was speaking at the Baldwin School, and in the process of preparing for that keynote speech, I did some research.
For those of us in not in Philadelphia, is that high school, college?
Yeah, so the Baldwin School is an all-girls school. They go from grade school through high school. So I recommend take a look at it. And so I was speaking there at their MLK Day celebration this past week.
Okay.
And in the process of preparing for that speech, did some additional research on Martin Luther King as well as Coretta Scott King, and began looking at more of his quotes and seeing how I could apply those to my life now, how they impacted me. So it was definitely a good exercise. I definitely recommend that people do some continued follow-up research on Dr. Martin Luther King as well as on his wife Coretta Scott King, because we hear and we learn about him through the media, we learned about him in school, but I think it's so important to take some time to study him for yourself and see how his life, his message, his impact has impacted you, and or how you can take his messages forward.
I think Dr. Walls, you're right, because we need to study him, because growing up, when I was growing up in New York, a lot of the street guys thought he was weak, because he was a peaceful man.
Because he took the nonviolent stance.
But you know what? To take a nonviolent stance is to be extremely strong.
Extremely.
It's easy to jump up and want to fight.
Yes. Jump up.
Yeah. But the thing is when you understand the strength this man had, because he knew he could never raise his hands. Because of the time frame he was working in. If he ever raised his hand to protect himself, the media would have take that and turn it around and make it like he was fighting somebody to destroy the movement. So Dr. King knew he had to make the ultimate sacrifice and never raise his hand to even protect himself. That's why he was stabbed in the chest and he saw the person coming. So when you talk about a man of peace, you talk about an awesome warrior.
It's interesting in the research that I had done, it talked about he and Mrs. King going and studying with and under Gandhi for, I want to say it was about 2 months, anywhere from a month to 2 months. But making that commitment, because so many times, like you said, it's so easy to get angry. And even for some people, it takes a while for them to get angry. But then when we get there, to still be able to control that part of you, because physiologically you're wired to respond via fight, flight, or freeze.
Yes. That's true.
So to move and stay connected to your higher purpose, your higher calling, your higher commitment to nonviolence is...
And that was everything with him.
Talk about it.
Because you remember, the reason a lot of people don't study Dr. King. The reason a lot of the black churches closed their doors on him is because he took a stand against the President of the United States, LBJ, for the war in Vietnam.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and after that, a lot of black churches ministers just invited him to his church because they felt he was speaking out against a person who was good to the American Negro.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so when we studied that history by Dr. King, it was like he could have taken a safe way and said yes and walked with the other ministers, but he knew this war was wrong. That war was wrong,
Right.
and a lot of and they were putting all this money into this war. What was going on back home? Same reason why Muhammad Ali took the stand.
Right.
He took, but Dr. King, because of who he was at that time, a lot of ministers wanted him to stand up with them in supporting the president.
Interesting. You know, I think that's one of the most fascinating things about history is that there's all these pieces and factors to it. And we talk about the 360-degree aspect to any
Yeah.
situation. And so many times we're either not taught or not privy to so many of the other degrees.
Yeah.
But we always have to remember that we just only know a piece or a couple pieces of the story.
Yeah. Wherever you stand, you're only occupying 1 degree.
Right.
So we have to teach our children, we have to remember as adults and parents and elders that there are 359 other degrees to the cipher. We're only occupying 1 degree at a time. So what I see
Yes.
and what you see is different when we look at the same thing because we're
Right.
standing at different angles.
And you talk about the importance of communication so that I can listen and understand where you're coming from. What are you noticing from your vantage
Even
point?
like in
right?
boxing,
And
you know,
vice
you have the
versa.
referees, you have judges at different points on the ring. Everyone's not sitting in the same place.
That's the truth.
So they can see what's going on because
That's the truth.
one might see it, one might not see it.
Right.
So when we study Dr. King, we need to research him in different aspects of Dr. King. And Dr. King was a very powerful man
Yeah.
in the things that he did
Yeah.
at that time. I mean, you look at some of our leaders today, people say, and they kind of judge themselves by Dr. King because if they studied Dr. King
Yes.
and they understood what he was about.
Right.
So when we talk about a day of service,
Yeah.
think about what are you serving, why are you doing it, and what is the end goal? See,
That's
Dr.
right.
King had an end goal.
Right.
Unfortunately, he didn't get to see it. And you know, in front of the speech he did the night before he was assassinated, he said, "I'm gonna get there with you, but I've been to the mountains."
Yes.
Because he knew his life was in danger because
Right.
a lot of black churches had turned their backs on him. You know, he was in a very dangerous, but he kept on going. That's the story. He knew his service.
Yeah.
He knew what he was about. And
Yeah.
he stayed on point.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't stay on point.
It's so true, and especially, you know, you talk about someone who used fear as a motivation because the amount of times that he and his family were threatened,
His house was firebombed.
you know, is just beyond what most people would sustain in order to live according to the movement.
And he could have taken the safe way out.
Right.
His dad was a very prominent preacher in Atlanta. He could have said, "I'm gonna go home and work with my dad, take his family back." Okay, when he won the Nobel Peace Prize, he could have said, "I did it.
Right.
I'm gonna go the other."
Right.
He had so many opportunities
Possible
to
exit
go
points.
to say, "Listen, I've done my piece."
Right.
But he knew this was. He understood his end goal.
Well, he knew he stood for PEACE instead of doing his PIECE, right? That his
Spelling.
piece was one and done, where
Yeah.
that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
He knew that this was a commitment for a long time. And I was actually speaking to someone recently who was asking me to do some work around racial and cultural diversity and awareness. And they were saying that they understood that their part would be played out for at least 25 years, that this was not a check off, like, oh, we did it one time and it's over, that this was something where a mindset change needed to happen in order for there to be a behavior change. And I say that because with the work that Dr. Martin Luther King was doing and those that supported him, his wife and so many others, because there's so many people's names that popular you know, celebrity status won't ever be achieved, but it's not that their work was done in vain. You know, he couldn't have done his work without the help of the people around him.
And for those who are listening, you're talking about people from the simplest job, the women who cook the food, wash the
That they
dishes,
took when they were doing the marches,
and
right?
stuff, to the prominent people like Harry Barry Fountain, who came out from Sammy Davis Jr., all
Yes.
those entertainers, Eartha Kitt,
Yes.
and all these entertainers that came out to support him. Okay, so it was a movement where every degree in the 360 cipher was very important.
Yeah.
You know, when I worked with Renal Sharpton, I got to work with Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, and Dr. Walker said something. He said, he called him Martin. He said, Martin was not concerned about where you stood on the line, but what you did is where you stood. So if you stood in the front, lead correctly. If you stood in the middle, hold it together. If you stood in the back, keep it safe, keep it tight. So as we work, you know, like when we do a film and stuff, you don't know who the cameraman is.
Right.
But if that cameraman is not doing the right job, the movie's not going to look right.
That's
the
right.
sound person, all those people that we don't see, we don't see them.
Play a critical part.
Critical part. Say like in the movement. So when you talk about a day of service, don't worry about the cameras on you or not. Do what you're supposed to. Do what you said you're going to do when you got there. Because you know what? Your piece is important.
Yeah.
It's very important. No matter if you're just handing sandwiches out, if you're just opening the door. You know, in the Christian Bible, there's a verse that says, I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my Lord than sit at a table of, I say, imbalance. We say iniquity in the Bible. So, you know, if you want to be a doorkeeper, be the best doorkeeper you can
That's
be.
right.
You know, Dr. King talked about it. If you're going,
Yeah.
if you're a sanitation, be the best sanitation person. Whatever you do, be the best. Don't worry about the cameras.
Right.
Don't worry about the cameras.
Right.
Do because it's a day of service.
Yes.
And then do your best if you can to extend that one day, this Monday coming to 22, 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. Because the community is a 365 days.
That's right.
365
That's
days.
right. 24/7.
It's a 24/7.
Yeah.
So you know, Dr. King was 25 when he stepped into the Montgomery bus boycott in December. I think it was December 5th, 1955. When I was born December 1st.
Okay.
So 1955, and you know, and he was assassinated when he was 39,
Yeah.
April 4th, 1968. So he wasn't around for a long period of time.
You know, it's funny, I remember when learning about, and also we have to think about this, when I learned about Dr. Martin Luther King, I was younger. So he seemed so much older. But now that
Now you're
I'm
past-
older, now that, right,
So,
I'm
wow,
past
he was young.
his age, it's like, wow, he did all of that when he was that young, and what was
25
I
to
doing?
39.
Right, what was I doing from 25 to 39?
Think about it.
And to have that type of global impact that still is impacting us so many years later is amazing.
It's amazing. And not just the 25 to 39. Before he was 25, he went to college to get he got his doctorate.
Right.
So before
Right.
he was 25.
Right.
So you know he
Just the whole
the whole
lifespan.
lifespan of this man, up from 0 to 39.
Yes.
You know, think about it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about a day of service, think about what are you doing? What are you doing to make your life better, make your community, your family better? Because every piece of that, every angle is connected. Every
Yeah.
degree is. Because what you do in your house, your children will take it out on the street and mimic you.
That's right.
They'll take it to school and mimic you.
That's
And
right.
their friends will see them and mimic them.
Yes.
And their friends will take it home to their family.
It's the truth.
Because how many times have your children come home, you say, where you get that from? Oh, so-and-so did that. He said he did it at home with his mom and dad. And
Yes.
then they bring it to your house. So we flip that script.
Yes.
If we do a day of service in a way that is very positive, and your children follow you and they take it to their children,
Yes.
their friends will take it home with them.
Yeah.
so-
You know, you talk about that. You know, we have little Rosie, who will be 6 on Monday.
Ooh, I said only 6.
Right, on Dr. Martin Luther King Day that is being celebrated on January 20th. So an early happy birthday to
Hey,
you,
Rosie.
And here she has a heart for service. And over the holidays started a whole movement in collecting scarves and hats, and so for people who couldn't afford it for themselves, and you know, gave away hats and scarves and gloves to over 60 families. She collected food cans around Thanksgiving and gave over 200 and some bags of food to people. I mean, so here it starts, and her family listened to her. She said, this is what I want to do. Her family supported her. Obviously, being 5 years old, it was a family right project, but it was spearheaded.
What did it makes you, as parents, what did her parents do for her to think like that?
Right.
Because she doesn't, it's something she saw, something she heard, some interaction she had with her family, her parents, her aunties, uncles.
Or where they took her.
That made her think like that.
Right.
Right? So
I was going to say I would say the combination, because it's in her heart, right? And so sometimes you hear people talk about a calling. I was called to do something, and I remember being an adult and tapping somebody at a conference and going, "What does that mean?" You know, and it's this idea that when you just feel this urge to do something that's great for the community, for yourself, that you move forward with it. And this is what I feel like she felt within her little being. Maybe I have to have her come on and be a guest on the show.
Yeah, that'll be
great. That'll be good.
Yeah, Rosie.
Okay, we're gonna have Rosie. So
we'll invite her parents.
Exactly.
Yeah, they can tag along.
You know, but to be able to support a child and let them know it is a great thing to do good in the world. And that you will have the support of others to help you do it. You know, in this case, she had her family, but then her family spread the word, and people such as us and other people that we were connected to all over the country began to support this young lady to make sure that she was doing what she was divinely designed to do.
And because of her age and the way she did it, it touches us adults, because they're like, wow.
That's right.
You say, wow, what did she see to make her do that? Make you feel good about yourself, make you think about what you do. Because I always tell people when I talk sometimes, I say, remember the children are watching.
That's right.
The children are watching.
That's right.
And so as the children are watching, here's a perfect example. This child has watched, her, listened, and now she's acting on, on that.
That's right.
What are we doing that children are watching us?
That's
might
right.
be our children, might be our nieces, our nephews who are watching us. What are we doing?
So I would say, what are we seeing? And that's to everybody. What are we seeing that needs our attention, and we can do something about it? And every little bit helps. As I often say, it doesn't take 100% to tip the scale. It only takes 51% to tip the scale. So whatever act you can do as you're reflecting and contemplating on this day of service, I encourage you, just think about what's that one thing that you could do to help make the community better, and I encourage you to do so. Any final words?
Nope. Enjoy your day of service, Dr. King Day 2020.
Yes, and take care, God bless, and continue to live your greatest life.
Ashe.
Walls and friends, Dr. 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 Walls and friends, Dr.